The Barbie movie is out, and yes, there seems to be a lot of controversy around it. In every comment section of Instagram post I see about Barbie, I see people fighting over it. And all the controversy seems to be from this very particular character, Ken. Seriously, I believe Ken is one of, if not the most important character in understanding the new Barbie movie. And I think many controversy actually comes from misunderstanding this character. If you haven't watched my review yet, I enjoyed the movie very much. While admitting there are a couple of flaws here and there, this movie was one of the most fun films I've seen released this year. And the character that stood out to me the most was Ryan Gosling's Ken. Not only because Ryan Gosling is one of my favorite actors of all time, or because he got to sing this masterpiece, but because he seemed to be the embodiment of the message of the movie. I felt like he was the embodiment of not patriarchy, but the desire for respect. I've already talked fairly a lot about this in my review of the movie, but I really wanted to talk more in depth about Ken, his motivations, and how significant he is for the message of the film. In the movie, Kens are continuously overshadowed by Barbies, and because Kens were literally made for Barbie in the first place, it's no surprise Ryan Gosling's Ken always feels incomplete without his Barbie. Because like he said, it's always Barbie and Ken, there's no just Ken. Ken is treated like just another gadget Barbie comes with. So I'm sure you have noticed already, but Kens in Barbie Land are supposed to represent women in real life. This is pretty evident from the weird Barbie sexualizing Ken and Barbie being sexualized in the real world not long after. And it's a lot more evident when Ken continuously mentions how the gender roles seem to be reversed. And soon enough, Ken finds out about patriarchy, only to find out about other things such as PhD that limit him from achieving power. This is where he meets a woman doctor who tells him he cannot act like a doctor just because he's a man. So he decides to go back to Barbie Land and achieves power there through the concept of patriarchy. Now here, Barbie Land was taken over literally in just a second, only for it to be taken back in a second. This just indicates how unnecessary endless fights between men and women are. And when he was confronted by Barbie, despite being in a world now consumed by patriarchy, he uses the story of how a woman asked him what time it was as an example of how he felt respected. Additionally, he tells Barbie that every night is now the boys' night out. This indicates all he ever wanted in the first place was to be seen, recognized, loved, and respected. And he tried to achieve that through the corrupt system of patriarchy. From this sense, it was indicated that Ken was an embodiment of the desire to be respected, which is what we should focus on. The movie is not about men versus women, it's about respect. Later in the movie, when Barbies finally take back the Barbie Land and Margot Robbie's Barbie talks to Ken realizes that respect doesn't come from authority. He realizes how absurd he was for thinking he could gain respect and love through the corrupted authority called patriarchy. Instead, he has to respect himself and others first in order to be respected, thus finally finding himself to be much more than just a gadget for his Barbie. He realizes he's enough to be just Ken. I also saw this very interesting video on Instagram that Alan is the only man who refused to live in a world of patriarchy because he already found himself since he is the only one without any variants. This just shows how important it is to find yourself as who you are rather than through corrupted power, since Ken's whole character arc was finding himself to be his own person. Through Ken and his actions, the movie discusses the importance of respect. How people don't have to be successful Barbies or CEOs of a big corporation to deserve respect. Because everyone deserves to be respected. Everyone is enough to deserve respect. Since when you think about it, none of this conflict would have happened if Barbies respected Kens and men respected women. That way, the movie tells us how extreme authority over only one side of society can be harmful to both men and women. Thus, how unnecessary equality is. Maybe it's time we stop fighting just because of our biological differences or try to take authority over one another. Maybe all we need to do is start respecting each other equally as they are.